Hello, and welcome back to Beans and Bezels. We're going to be taking a look at a watch that was designed from the ground up to be an adventure and tool watch. This is the Archimede, or I believe is pronounced Archimede Outdoor Protect 39. Archimede is under the Ichler brand umbrella. Ichler are a watch case and watch manufacturer based in Germany and have almost 100 years of case manufacturing experience. The fact that this company still remains family owned, independent, and dedicated to crafting high quality watch cases is extremely appealing to me. The Archimede brand is relatively new and was created in the early 2000s. I recently came across an Outdoor Protect 39 on the pre-owned market and I couldn't pass on the opportunity to check it out. This is the white dial version, but I believe they offer 6 other colors. The outdoor lineup are all-out tool watches designed for an active outdoor lifestyle. I spend most of my day at my desk, but I like to imagine that I have an active outdoor lifestyle and therefore a strong need for a tool watch. The Archimede Outdoor lineup offers a surface-hardened steel case that achieves 1200 on the Vickers hardness scale, making it resistant to most surface scratches. Having owned 2 of these watches with these properties, it's hard to visually tell the difference between this and regular brushed steel, but these watches are much smoother to the touch and feel almost slippery. In terms of case construction and build quality, let me say this, it is excellent. Ever since discovering this brand, I'd keep reading about Ichler cases and how great they were, but then I'd look at photographs online and wonder what all the hype was about. In reality, this $900 watch could pass off as a $2,000 watch based on its case alone. Let's move on to one of my favorite aspects of the case. This watch has the best crown and crown guard design I've come across in terms of comfort and dimensions. It is extremely easy to adjust the crown even when the watch is perfectly snug on your wrist. Everything about the crown, its support hardware, and the crown guards is perfect, and there isn't any feeling of flimsiness when the crown is pulled out. If I was wearing a hat, I would tip it to Ichler for this excellent engineering and meticulous manufacturing. They've really nailed the dimensions on the crown and how it integrates with the rest of the case. The case overall is very comfortable and wears light, and the whole watch comes in at around 75 grams with the leather strap and 125 grams on the steel bracelet. There isn't a rotating bezel, which means that almost the entire 39mm width is occupied by the dial. In terms of case design, I know a few people are put off by the lugless design. I don't mind it at all and actually think it looks good. This design decision, together with the fully articulating metal bracelet, drastically reduces the lug-to-lug width to a shocking 43.5mm. So keep that in mind and don't expect it to wear in a similar manner to other 39mm watches. They also make a 41mm case, but I suspect that those watches were smaller than other 41mm cases as well. Flipping the watch over, you have a simple screw-down case back that, together with the screw-down crown, gives you 200 meters of water resistance. Let's move on to the dial. The dial is clean, legible, and has a definitive field watch aesthetic. The black hands and hour numerals perfectly contrast the snow-white dial. There is a seconds track perpendicular to the dial along the outer surface of where you'd expect a chapter ring. This then transitions to an angled surface that has a 60-minute track in increments of 5 minutes. The design is great and makes it a pleasure to read because of how effortlessly legible it is. You can also easily read the time even if you're looking at the watch almost parallel to the surface of the dial. I think this is a really neat design choice. And you can see it here. The loomed hour indices are applied to the dial, but the rest of the accents and numerals are either printed or painted. Under macro scrutiny, I did notice some ink smudges around some of the numerals, but this isn't visible to the naked eye and is also common among watches even 2 to 3 times the cost. The hands appear to be painted black as well. I have more close-up photographs in my review below. The date wheel has a white background and blends in beautifully with the white dial. The date wheel doesn't eat into the loomed index, and this helps retain the overall symmetry. The watch has very good loom with square loomed hour indices and rectangular loomed hands. This should pass most people's criteria for loom. The bracelet attaches to the case at an 18mm lug width, but the actual width at the case is 20mm. This helps give you the illusion of an integrated bracelet without actually being one. The bracelet tapers down to 18mm at the clasp. The links are vertically brushed and of very good quality. I haven't had any hair pulling experiences, and the links articulate almost completely, allowing for a perfect fit. Let me give you a closer look at the links. And here you can see that the links articulate almost completely, allowing you to perfectly wrap the watch around your wrist. The clasp is the weakest aspect of this watch. It has a pressed fold-over clasp that feels much cheaper than the rest of the watch. For starters, there's an abrupt transition between the tapered end of the bracelet and the clasp on the 6 o'clock end. Second, the fold-over lock feels a bit rough and doesn't really press very smoothly. I've realized now that I've been making the same comments in almost all the watches I've reviewed so far, but I do believe that this is one of the most frequently overlooked components in a watch. Once you look past the feeling of the clasp in terms of function, the clasp has everything you would need, from 4 micro adjustment slots on one end and 2 on the other end. The clasp also has a diver's extension, and for these reasons I'm willing to overlook the cheap clasp construction. The fully articulating links together with this flexible clasp allow for a very comfortable fit after just a bit of adjustment. So in terms of features, I think it has everything you could possibly need. You can also get a rubber strap for this watch. It isn't as supple as, say, something from Everest or Rubberbee, but is sufficient, and the black rubber looks great against the white dial. As mentioned earlier, this 39mm watch comes in at a very comfortable 43.5mm in terms of lug-to-lug width. The 11.2mm height, together with the very light construction, gives you an incredibly comfortable wrist experience. If I had to draw a parallel, I'd say that this watch wears very similarly to the Rolex Oyster Perpetual if they were to make a 37 or a 38mm variant. Here you see it on my 6.25-inch wrist. This watch has a Sellita SW200 movement, and for a price of $900 I think that's acceptable. The Sellita SW200 is a workhorse movement, and I logged the accuracy of this watch over a 4-day period and observed roughly -6 seconds per day. Overall, this watch delivers an incredible amount of value and is in my top 3 best tool watches under $1,000. This is obviously only if you can appreciate the overall design. I believe that is the only area where you might be conflicted. The lack of lugs doesn't bother me at all. However, a more intricate integrated bracelet design might elevate this watch to the next level. If Archimede upped their game in the bracelet department, I would consider paying up to $1,500 for this watch. The case is made to extremely high standards. The dial design is simple and very well executed with only minor finishing anomalies. The bracelet is sufficient and the only aspect that leaves room for improvement. It is comfortable, but just feels a bit lacking in terms of quality. It appears from their website that the clasp on the 41mm versions is of better quality. It looks milled and much thicker, so they may consider upgrading this as well if you ask them. If you're looking for an everyday field or tool watch under $1,000, and if you find this design appealing, go for it. You're unlikely to regret it, and the pros heavily outweigh the cons. If the clasp really bothers you, they have a bunch of canvas and leather strap options to offer as well. Thanks for watching this video, and be sure to check out the full review in the link below.